Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. In case you didn't already know, that's the new Tesla Roadster. The design, it takes some getting used to, as I'm used to seeing a radiator grille here on a Ferrari or a Maserati. But if you want one, they're $200,000 before you add on the cost of options and extras, etc. Now those cars are driven by the top 10% of guys who are on six-figure and maybe seven-figure salaries. Are they the only ones who can afford such a car? And as you all know, they're in the target for the 80-20 rule on the 90-10 rule. So looking around, you've all seen this. This is done on the September the 10th, 2019, or about 4 years ago. In that 2019, do women face a shortage of men worth marrying? Now, if you drop down, you get a set of bullet points. As you can see, first one, older women have an even shorter dating pool of economically desirable men than younger women, which is shown in the MGTOW videos called The Wall. Once a woman passes it at age 30, her chances of getting a high-value man who could afford a Tesla Roadster go rapidly downhill, and a younger woman, she got a chance because guys want younger women who are more fertile and prettier than the post-war woman. Well-educated women face more of a shortage of economically desirable men than less educated women. Once again, they shut the 80-20 rule in operation. Minority women, particularly black women, have a heightened unlikelihood of finding a partner who is economically desirable. The late Kevin Samuels also shows that on his videos. The black women, they want a high-value man, but the average black man in America earns $41,000 a year, and the percentage of black men who are earning a six-figure salary is about 1 to 3%. It says, in general, it's harder to find an economically desirable man in one's own close geographic area than in the broader nationwide comparison. Now that was in 2019. Zip forward to 2022 and the US economy grows in the third quarter, reversing a 6-month slump. Now all these women in the corporate sector jobs who are after the top 10% of the guys, and better still the top 1%, they think they're doing all right. They're in a high-paying job. They have sort of semi-access to these guys that they're after, and the 80-20 and 90-10 rule applies to them. It says the US economy grew at an annual rate of 2.6% in the third quarter of 2022, making its first increase in 2022 and a sharp turnaround after 6 months of contraction, despite lingering fears that the country is at a risk of recession. Now you notice it was October. You get the November midterm elections coming in, and right after that, they're out of the way. Boom! Tech layoffs continue with cuts at Salesforce, Amazon, and maybe even Google. Now this was written on the 5th of January 2023, or about a couple of days ago. It says, Salesforce is cutting 10% of its global workforce, equating to around 8,000 jobs which will be lost. Amazon is cutting 18,000, and rumours continue to swirl that Google's parent company Alphabet would be laying off staff, with an updated performance review structure coming into play. Now, if you're an American, you all know how ruthless American companies are when it comes to downsizing. Now, what's the betting that a number of these jobs that's going to be laid off are middle management jobs, human relation jobs, Salesforce jobs, which are predominantly populated by women. Now, all these women on these nice cushy jobs who are facing the shortage of men worth marrying, they're going to find out that they're laid off, and their chances of getting a decent guy is even slimmer. It says, where is it now? Salesforce downsizing by 8,000 employees. Salesforce is taking action to reduce costs and streamline its operations amid economic challenges leading into 2023. As part of this, the company will be laying off 10% of its workforce and closing some offices, which are predominantly occupied by women, announced yesterday. Nice of them to wait until after Christmas, I guess. The move is expected to result in between $1.4 and $2.1 billion, with approximately $800 million to $1 billion be recorded by quarter four. This will come from severance packages and stock buyouts and a well-compensated payroll. It doesn't say who's going to be laid off. Salesforce believes the moves are necessary to ensure the long-term success and sustainability of the company after hiring too many people during the pandemic. And then it goes down, and the same amounts with Amazon. Most of the layoffs will come from the consumer retail division and the human resources department. Now, most of them are occupied by women, so there's going to be an awful lot of women laid off, and economic reality will hit them in the face, because a lot of these diversity hire sorts of people are going to be the first ones to go, because the company, to maintain profitability, is going to get rid of a lot of the deadwood. And then more layoffs for Google to come. What does it say where it is? Google projects just 22% of employees will be rated in one of the two highest categories. So, on top of this, you've all seen the Morgan Stanley prediction that 45% are women are expected to be single and childless by 2030, a mere 8 years from now. Now it says, we're told the culture that women is unmarried and has no children is empowered and in charge of her own life. She escaped the unnecessary burden of raising a family and being a slave to her husband. Well, if the jobs situation kicks in, she'll have more concentration looking for a job than looking for a husband. At least that's what society has convinced us. Sadly, many women have adopted the modern feminist lifestyle and have chosen to sleep around, i.e. high body count, abort their baby if they unexpectedly get pregnant, and swear off marriage. Well, if a woman in a high-paying job suddenly finds herself unemployed, she wants to get married because it's a life raft and it's a retirement plan for her. But these cultural trends are going to have a tremendous impact on the future of American society. Morgan Stanley estimates that 45% of women in their prime working years, i.e., that's probably the age group that's going to be laid off, in there, will be single and childless by the time 2030 arrives. They'll also be single, childless, and unemployed. And then it goes, Morgan Stanley, an article outlining women's impact on the American economy. Well, the American economy is going to take a serious dip in this coming year. The number of single women in the US is expected to increase by 1.2 every year from 2018 to 2030. Not if they don't have children, they won't, compared to a 0-point increase in the overall population. This likely going to result in 45% of women between 25 and 44. She's at the end of her fertile period. She's post-war, will be single and childless by 2030. Now, what's this going to affect men? Not much. If a guy is American and he's got a trade, a carpenter, a plumber, a bricklayer, mechanic, guys that are productive, the company's not going to get rid of him. They're just going to get rid of the deadwood and the office staff that are taking up resources of the company so the company can survive. And this is just a blip a false spring, but this is the reality. Post 2023, there'll be more and more women, shortage of women, men worth marrying, but that is going to reverse itself because women are going to find that they can't manage on their own and they're going to need a man to marry. But then again, we drop down to this bullet points. Older women post-war, even with a degree and a high-paying job that they've just been laid off for, are not going to get a guy. Well-educated women are not going to get a guy because a high-value man's he has options. Black women are going to suffer even more because they're not going to get the man that they want. And in general, it's going to be economically harder to find an economically desirable man. So they're going to have to lower the standards, all of them. Otherwise, they're going to be in that percentage. I might do another one like this next week if I can find some information, but I think I'm on the 10-minute mark now, maybe beyond it. So, you know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. Completely up to you. But if you're a MGTOW, it's going to be interesting seeing how the situation evolves in America and Canada and the rest of the Western world. So, till next Monday, that's it. Bye-bye.